Most people will never build real wealth from investing. Not because the market is unfair, not because they started too late, not because they did not have enough capital, because they never had a framework. Welcome to the ProfitByFriday.com podcast, where we replace guessing with process, emotion with discipline, and noise with one clear idea every single week. Now, let us get into it. Before I buy any stock, I run it through 5 questions. Not 10, not 20. 5. Every stock I have ever bought that made serious money passed all 5. Every stock I have ever bought that lost me money failed at least one of them. Today, I am going to show you exactly how this works, live, on a real stock, Mastercard. I chose Mastercard for a specific reason. It is one of the most universally recognized businesses on earth. You have used it today, your parents have used it, your children will use it. And because you already understand what it does, you can follow the 5 questions clearly without getting lost in the business model. Let us go. Question 1. Catalyst. Is there a specific reason why this stock should grow faster in the next 1 to 3 years than it has in the past? A catalyst is not a hope. It is not a vibe. It is a named event, a structural shift or a market expansion that is actively driving revenue right now. For Mastercard, the catalyst is 2 words: cash displacement. There are approximately $17 trillion of consumer transactions still conducted in cash globally every single year. Cash that has never touched a payment network. Every time one of those transactions moves to digital, Mastercard collects a fee. It is not a story about taking market share from Visa. It is a story about an entirely new ocean of transactions that did not exist on any network yesterday and will tomorrow. Add to that the growth in cross-border transactions, which carry a higher fee per transaction than domestic payments, and the expansion of Mastercard's value-added services business, which now generates over 30% of total revenue, and the catalyst is structural, durable, and does not require any single event to arrive on a specific date. Catalyst scores 18 out of 20. Question 2. Leadership. Is this company leading its category or following it? Mastercard and Visa together process approximately 90% of global card transactions outside of China. That is not a competitive position. That is a duopoly, a 2-company system that every bank, every merchant, and every payment processor in the world has built their entire infrastructure around. Think of it like the plumbing in a city. Every building is connected to the same pipes. Replacing those pipes is not a cost decision. It is a civilization-level infrastructure change. Nobody does it. Mastercard has also built a secondary business in data analytics, cybersecurity, and consulting services that runs on top of the payment rail. These services are sold to the same banks and merchants who already depend on the network. The business grip compounds with every new participant that connects to the rail. Leadership scores 17 out of 20. Question 3. Earnings. Is the business growing earnings consistently, and is that growth accelerating? Mastercard's earnings per share have compounded at approximately 13 to 16% annually over the past decade. Not in a straight line, but consistently enough that a long-term holder has never had to wait more than 2 years to see a new high in earnings. The revenue model is extraordinarily durable. Mastercard does not take credit risk. It does not lend money. It does not hold deposits. It charges a small fee on every transaction that flows across its network. When the economy grows, transaction volume grows, and Mastercard earns more without increasing its cost base meaningfully. The most recent quarters show earnings growth continuing in the double digits, margins expanding, and the value-added services segment growing faster than the core network business. No deceleration flag is active. Earnings scores 17 out of 20. Question 4. Accumulation. Are the largest and most informed buyers in the market building positions in this stock? This question sounds complicated. It is not. It has one answer. Look at what institutions are doing with their capital. Mastercard is held by virtually every major institutional investor on Earth. Vanguard, BlackRock, State Street, Fidelity. The largest sovereign wealth funds. It is in every major index. It receives weekly capital flows from hundreds of index funds that must buy it automatically whenever new money arrives. But the accumulation signal I look for specifically is volume behavior on up weeks versus down weeks. In a genuine accumulation pattern, the stock rises on above average volume and pulls back on below average volume. Institutions are buying on the way up and not selling meaningfully on the way down. That asymmetry is the footprint of large informed buyers positioning for the long term. Mastercard's chart has shown this pattern consistently over multiple years. The float is not small, so there is no float manipulation advantage. But the buyback program is active and meaningful, reducing the share count systematically and amplifying earnings per share growth above revenue growth. Accumulation scores 16 out of 20. Question 5. Risk and reward. Does the potential upside justify the risk of entering at the current price? This is the only question that changes every week. The first 4 questions tell you whether a business deserves attention. The 5th question tells you whether right now is the right time to act. For a long-term investor deploying capital weekly through a compounding program, the risk and reward question is answered differently than for a trader looking for a 6-week breakout. For a 20-year holding intent, the entry point matters less than the quality of the business and the consistency of deployment. Mastercard at current valuations trades at a premium to the market. That premium is justified by the business model, the earnings consistency, and the structural growth runway. For a long-term compounder, a high-quality business at a fair price will always outperform a fair-quality business at a low price over 20 years. The risk and reward score for a long-term program, 15 out of 20. The valuation is not cheap. Nothing of this quality ever is. Now let us add the score. Catalyst, 18 out of 20. Leadership, 17 out of 20. Earnings, 17 out of 20. Accumulation, 16 out of 20. Risk and reward, 15 out of 20. Total clear framework score, 83 out of 100. That is high conviction. The threshold to reach the technical panel is 75. Mastercard clears that gate comfortably. Highest conviction requires 85 or above. Mastercard is 2 points below that level, which means it is a high conviction holding, but not a maximum conviction entry signal for a short-term trader. For a long-term compounder deploying weekly, the score says something different. It says this is one of 8 businesses in the world that deserves a permanent allocation, regardless of where the stock price sits on any given Monday. This is how every stock analysis episode in this series will work. 1 stock, 5 questions, 1 score, 1 verdict. The score does not tell you what to do. It tells you what the business deserves. What you do with that information is always your decision. Amateurs ask what the stock is doing. Investors ask what the business deserves. Visit profitbyfriday.com today. Subscribe free to the Friday Flash, where you will receive 1 stock fully evaluated through the Clear framework every Friday, so that you know everything about the company before you decide to invest. No noise, no hype, just the analysis that matters. We trade for cash flow. We invest boring to build legacy. See you in the next episode. Bye for now.